yesterday, as we were wrapping up the show, we got the news that Jabril Cox committed to LSU. He's the linebacker from North Dakota State. Grad transfer, immediately eligible, two-time FCS All-American. And the amazing thing about it, if you missed, Shea Dixon was with us, was good enough to jump aboard with us on short notice yesterday to wrap up the show. Cox committed to LSU sight unseen. He was getting on a plane 3 weeks ago today to come to Baton Rouge for his visit. That's when the world stopped, and Cox never came. But he was expecting to be on a college campus in June to start preparing for his fifth year, and ultimately he had to pick because now the SEC today has extended to May 31st its cutoff. There is no contact through May 31st now. So you're looking at the recruiting dead period through May 31st, no activities involving SEC programs through May 31st. So Cox had to make a decision, ultimately picked LSU, and why wouldn't you? And I was thinking about this today. I actually did an interview on the Chuck Oliver show, and we were talking about LSU and their history at linebacker. And what's so interesting as I started to think back about the last 10 years really at that position or thereabouts 10 years, LSU had this great run of linebackers to the Saban days, and then you could go to guys like Ali Highsmith and Perry Riley and Kelvin Shepard, and there were some great inside backers that all went and had NFL careers. And then LSU kind of hit a lag, and maybe it was because John Chavis stopped recruiting the position. They missed certainly on some guys. Clifton Garrett was a 5-star, number one inside backer in the country who was supposed to be a great player, and they couldn't keep him out of Tigerland. He lived in Baton Rouge for a year and then left. I think he went FCS somewhere. I don't even know what he ended up doing. Maybe UAB, I want to say, is where he ended up. But either way, and LSU hit this lull. And there was a point, if you remember, where they had more kickers on the roster than linebackers. And they hit big with a couple of guys, with Kendall Beckwith and with Devin White. But really, they had to rely on guys like Deion Jones and Duke Riley, who waited their fourth year to play, and behind those guys, they were just paper thin. Well, when Orgeron came in, he fixed that. He recruited a glut of linebackers, and it worked. And then this year happened. And it was a very good year. But as a result, Jacob Phillips, Patrick Queen, Caleb Von Chasson, Mike Divinity, all gone all at once. So your entire depth chart just got gutted at that position. So you're pressing reset, and you're moving from a 3-4 to a 4-3. So physically what you need at that position has changed. So you look at the depth chart and you go, Damone Clark. Orgeron raved about him last year. He played a good bit, made 50 tackles for LSU last year. Micah Baskerville, 15 tackles last year. Dante Starks played in 3 games, did not record a statistic. That's it. Now, I could give you Ray Thornton and Andre Anthony, but we've been talking about those guys for 4 years now. And who knows where they factor in. We could talk about Marcel Brooks, but he's like 205. And how he fits in, I think he's a really good player, but let's see how he fits in. Devontae Lee just moved from receiver to linebacker. Receiver to linebacker. And then you got a guy like Phillip Webb coming in as a freshman. So it's like you need options. And not only do you get a body in 2018, when they had 3 spots available, they got Burrow, who of course became the starting quarterback, Cole Tracy, who was a stud. And then remember the third was Terrence Alexander. And Terrence Alexander was a body. He was a guy who went to Stanford and played well there, but factored in as a role player in that LSU defense. This is a stud. This is a 100-tackle guy for 3 seasons. And the other thing about it, when you look at him physically, 6'3", 229, heat-seeking missile, runs and hits. It's everything you want at that position. It's everything you want in a linebacker. And when you think of it, you're getting a developed player. Sometimes you look and you go, how did that guy end up at North Dakota State? Well, remember, he went to North Dakota State and redshirted his first year in 2016. He's going into his 5th year. He could be in the draft. Technically could have gone to the draft after last season, after the 2018 season. That was 3 years out. He had an All-America year. He was the Defensive Player of the Year this past year in the Missouri Valley Conference. He could go now. Wants to go play one more year, one year of major college football, and then see what's ahead for him. So, man, this is one of those very rare circumstances where you got a guy that is not just a body, but a proven stud that was undervalued as an 18-year-old because he hadn't physically developed. And then from 18 to 22, as often happens when you start getting hair in places that you're not familiar with, right? And then you develop into a man. And that's what's happened for Jabril Cox. And go put it on the tape. Like, you don't have to know anything about football. Like, you ever watch high school film, or have you ever watched a high school game and there's like the one guy, like the linebacker that's 6'2", 250, and he's hitting the running back that's 5'8", 145. You know what I mean? Like, and you go, oh, that's just different. That's Jabril Cox playing at North Dakota State. You're like, oh, that's different. Huge get, man, for LSU and for Ed Ogeron, sight unseen to get this kid. And I think the thing that Shea said yesterday on the show that made the most sense was, sometimes you have high school kids that will commit sight unseen, but they haven't signed yet. Eventually, like, they'll commit, but eventually they're going to get to campus. They're going to go to a camp. They're going to come for a game. They're going to come for a visit. This, you rarely, if ever, see that with a transfer. But by this time next year, Jabril Cox is going to be in draft prep. So, in essence, he's going to spend 6 months at LSU or whatever it is whenever they're allowed to get back on campus. He can do 6 months and go play ball at LSU, be singularly focused on football, and see what comes of it.